We'd like to welcome you to our current event and weekly Bible study for June 7th, 2015. And today's study is a lot of different current events, but it's basically taking a look at our accelerated slide into the one world global governance system under the Antichrist and false prophet. And all of the different things that are happening right now. I mean, obviously, we're not going to cover every facet, but a lot of the big ones that are moving us in that direction. And so much of this ties together with basically things that we talk about on a weekly basis. It increasingly, whether it's Islam or Catholicism or the illegal aliens or ISIS or just the things that they're doing with all of these treaties, increasingly, all of these different draconian agendas are becoming obviously interlinked. They're dependent upon one another because it is all part of a grand scheme, a grand plan to bring us into this one world, new world order under the Antichrist and false prophet. So it's things that I've been literally talking about for, years and years and years at this point, or reporting on or put out in the newsletter. It's all tying together. And so today, starting off, we'll just start off with some Bible verses to kind of get things going, to kind of get perspective. And because, as I've said before, on a week-to-week basis, the things that we report on and talk about typically aren't going to be super uplifting, and it's always good to keep your eyes fixed on the Lord Jesus Christ and the Word of God. So Psalm 21 verse 7 through 13 says, "For the king trusteth in the Lord." Now this would be a righteous king. Okay, "For the king trusteth in the Lord, and through the mercy of the Most High he shall not be moved." So God keeps a righteous person even in the faith that they have. That faith is kept through the Most High, through his mercy. And then it goes on to say, "Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee." So it's saying the hand of God shall find out his enemies, and his right hand shall find out those that hate thee. And that's something that's good to keep in perspective. No matter how bleak or how hopeless the situation may look, how utterly whatever, God is still in control. He knows who are doing these things. He knows who the wicked are. And they're going to be dealt with. You reap what you sow. And hell awaits for the wicked. The unrepentant wicked, hell awaits. I pray if it be possible their souls be saved, but obviously, according to the Word of God, most people are not going to get saved, and people anymore are just becoming more increasingly wicked and evil. The separation, I don't know if you've been noticing this, but the separation between the righteous and the wicked is the rift, that chasm is growing. I mean, I can't even comprehend on a week-to-week basis the current events I'm putting out. I mean, even with the newsletters, if you've known, if you compare it to, I don't know, even 3 or 4 years ago, I'm sending out a lot more newsletters now because there's so much more evil, typically evil, to report on as a watchman or to make my listeners aware of. The wickedness is literally overwhelming. It is literally becoming more and more like Sodom and Gomorrah every day. So the next verse then reads, "Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them." That's what awaits the wicked. It's just like Sodom and Gomorrah, you know. Next verse, "Their fruit shall destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. For they intended evil against thee. It said they intended evil against God. It's like they're shaking their fist at God because they can't do things the way they wanted. They can't be wicked. And the reality is there is a judgment at the end, at death, with hell and then the lake of fire. So in the meantime, they're going to shake their fist at God. They're intending evil against God. This is a big reason, a part of their motivation deep down, wicked people and entities, is to try to hurt God. And it's one of the things that motivates them. It's a big thing, I really believe deep down, that motivates them. They imagined a mischievous device which they are not able to perform. So, not every single thing that Satan is planning on doing to humanity is going to happen. Okay, not every single wicked, evil device that I would report on or plan that the New World Order has is going to be the case. If that was the case, we'd all be dead. Because Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. We would have all been dead and wiped out a long time ago because we're created in God's image and he wants to wipe out any vestige of that. Tried to pull that off at the flood of Noah, defiling the whole earth, essentially. And God had to save the earth by destroying the earth and save 8 people and the animals on the ark. So that's what Satan's agenda always is. Next verse, therefore shalt thou make them turn their back. What does that mean? They're going to turn their back and run at some point. There's going to come some day when they're going to beg for the rocks to fall upon them and hide them from the Lamb. You know, the Lamb of God, Jesus Christ. Therefore shall thou make them turn their back when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon the strings against the face of them. The last verse, be thou exalted, Lord, in thine own strength. So we will sing and praise thy power. So yes, blessing God, praising the Lord Jesus Christ, praising Father God, worshiping him, blessing his holy name, very important, and it is a weapon against Satan. Putting on the full armor of God is also another one. So anyway, I wanted to kind of start things off with those verses, and now let's go ahead and get into the fun-filled news for this particular study. The TPP gives Obama power to destroy America. The TPP is a global domination by fascist cartel bent on enslaving the world. Now the Senate has given fast-track authority to Obama. The Republican control and the Republican controlled Congress, they're all in absolute total lockstep collusion with this guy. And I mean, it's obvious they're going along. They're not fighting things anymore. Things are, oh yeah, we can put up for a show that, oh well, there was this one and that one that said this or that, and I don't trust any of them. Political people at that level, I don't trust any of them. I believe they've all been bare minimum compromised to a huge extent. And sure, they're gonna put that fine face forward for the Republicans out there to think that there's still some people with fight left in them. And you know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think for the most part, most of them have been compromised, and you know, a lot of this whole thing about resistance shown by high political officials is for a show. So this goes on to say the Senate has given fast track authority to Obama to implement this secret plan and to set fire to our Constitution, rules of law, and ultimately our liberty and freedom. Only 5 Republican senators voted against the final fast track bill. This is the thing that's going to totally bring us in. I mean, I understand there's been a lot of other treaties. This is probably the worst thing. It's so bad that Obama won't let anyone read it, and the only ones that can read it are people in high political office that have that clearance. They got to go to a secret room where somebody's looking over their shoulder. They can't make copies of anything, and you know, this is the transparency, the most transparent administration as he promised ever. It's that bad what this is going to do. 5 Republican senators. voted against the final fast track bill in a vote that passed 62 to 37. They're all in the big satanic. They're all in the same big satanic team. They're all two sides of the same wicked coin, Republican or Democrat. Fast track would allow, and again, okay, maybe there's some exceptions. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but I'm sure somebody would say, well, yeah, but what about this guy? Or okay, well, bottom line is there's enough collusion there to get the satanic agenda done now almost every time. Fast track would allow Obama to send the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or the TPP, deal to Congress for an up or down vote. The TPA must still pass a House vote, which is why it is imperative to contact your representatives and TPA is another part of this thing. But anyway, it's why imperative to contact your representatives and let them know you're against HR 1314. And there's links here you can click on. The Trade Promotion Authority, that's the TPA, or the Fast Track Bill, which essentially grants the office of president the power to do a treaty by executive order. Treaties override the natural governing laws of the land. They take precedence over that. So the Constitution, if this is passed, is just, it's what vestiges of it remained are going to be pretty much gone. Next report, WikiLeaks has warned that governments negotiating a far-reaching global service agreement are surrendering a large part of their global sovereignty. This is what has been leaked. And exacerbating the social inequality of poor countries in the process. It's going to make the poor countries, the third world countries, even more. That's exactly what they want to create. They want to create an ultra-elite, rich class, ruling body, eliminate the middle class everywhere in all parts of the world, and then just have your ultra poor class. And that's really after they've depopulated the earth by around 95%, which is what would be their goal. The Trade and Services Agreement was exposed in a 17-document leak by WikiLeaks on Thursday. Relates to ongoing negotiations to lock market liberalizations into new global law. That's where we're moving, into global laws now that are binding upon all countries. Senator Jeff Sessions has written a scathing new letter to Obama, pressuring him to explain why Obamatrade has been so secretive. And at the same time, we're going to see that he's actually going to go along with it, though. See, this is why I don't believe any of them. And the letter hones in on the new global governance, as Sessions calls it, that would be created by the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or the TPP, which would almost certainly be approved by Congress should the House of Representatives vote in favor of Trade Promotion Authority, of the TPA, to fast track the TPP and other trade deals. I guess the TPA is what allows this fast track to happen, which is what we talked about earlier. The TPA, which passed the Senate a couple weeks ago, would ensure, barring some unforeseen development, the congressional approval of the TPP, and collectively the two have become known as the Obamatrade. President Obama has ignored and rejected bipartisan calls for transparency on Obamatrade and refuses to release to the public the text of the TPP that the TPA would fast track. Of course he is. He's pure evil. Straight from the pit of hell, this guy. In fact, currently only members of Congress and certain cleared staffers with high enough security clearances, and those staffers can only go with a member, are allowed to go into the secret room in the U.S. Capitol to go read the text of the Obamatrade TPP component, and they can't make any copies, and can't disclose anything they've seen. So, okay. Representative Pete. Okay, I was getting Representative Pete Sessions and Jeff Sessions confused, so forgive me on that one. Anyway, the next report is busted. Top Republicans push Obama trade deal. They haven't even read. Two members of the House GOP, Majority Whip, he's the guy that has the Cool Whip, and he spreads it on the desserts and stuff. That's why they call him the Majority Whip. Okay, just so you know, I don't know if you guys know a lot about politics like I do, but that's what it means. Anyway, just kidding. Majority Whip Representative Steve Scalise and Rules Committee Chairman Representative Pete Sessions refused to admit whether they have read the text of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Pacific Rim trade deal, but they're still supporting granting President Barack Obama the Trade Promotion Authority to fast track it, which is the TPA. So it hinges on the TPA, the TPP. But once the TPA is actually approved, then Obama can fast track these bills and basically rule by treaty, by decree. Sounds like to me. The next report, in a sign of how high the stakes have become to railroad the TPP through, the White House was coordinating its efforts with House Republican leaders who are canvassing. The House Republican leaders, I thought these were the good guys. They are canvassing for as many votes as possible from their caucus to ensure a buffer if the president is unable to win much support from his own party. He's thinking he might have more resistance, Obama, from his own Democratic Party. So the Republican whores are out there canvassing for votes for a cushion in that event if Obama was unable to get support from his own party. That's how sorry, how evil the Republican Party is. So we're going to segue now into understanding the pure evil of Agenda 21, which is, this is all part of it. Agenda 21, as we're going to see, is a 1992 United Nations policy document which calls for the smart growth and sustainability to remake the world into a new global order, devoid of private property and free enterprise. The video that we're going to be listening to is an introduction to a series about smart growth, like smart meters, sustainable development, and how Agenda 21 is remaking our nation one city at a time. So we're going to this is the proper time, I feel like, to segue, because the TPP and all of this other stuff that they're trying to implement right now really relies, implementing Agenda 21 relies on things like this Trans-Pacific Partnership and being able to fast track all of these treaties. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video now. Okay, so the lady that we're going to be hearing from, Alexandra Swan, and she's done a ton of study in this area. She has a regular blog about the impact of excessive government regulations, including regulations designed to prevent climate change on American society and freedom. She's the author of, quote, The Planner, which is a novel about the impact of Agenda 21 in America, and the co-author of, I guess, the book called The Chosen about the NDAA. And so her contact information and all that stuff is at this link that I'll be posting with the study. I just want to let you know she's kind of an expert on this particular subject. So let's go ahead and play this.
Smart growth, smart code, sustainable development. We hear these terms every day, but what do they mean and how will they change our lives? I'm Alexandra Swan, and in this short video presentation you'll find out exactly what smart growth means to you. The term sustainable development was coined in 1987 in a report called Our Common Future, produced by the United Nations Commission on the Environment and Development. The commission was chaired by Gro Harlem Brundtland, former Prime Minister of Norway, former head of the World Health Organization, and Vice President of the International Socialists. Brundtland's findings led to the United Nations Earth Summit, which created Agenda 21. Agenda 21 calls for a profound reorientation of all human society, unlike anything the world has ever experienced. A major shift in the priorities of both governments and individuals.
So we have to understand, this is literally how they're going to implement the New World Order under Antichrist and false prophet. This is like the backbone for it. As far as from an implementation standpoint, I understand the United Nations is really typically the driving force. But this is how they're going to do it. Agenda 21 lays out the groundwork for all of that to happen.
and an unprecedented redeployment of human and financial resources. This shift will demand a concern for the environmental consequences of every human action, be integrated into individual and collective decision-making at every level. Although Agenda 21 was too radical to ever be ratified by the U.S. Senate, it was signed by President George H.W. Bush as a soft treaty, and every U.S. president since 1992 has reaffirmed its goals. Agenda 21 has...
Again, they're all on the same side of the same slimy, wicked devil team, every one of them.
3 parts: economic equality, or redistribution of wealth, not only within, but also among nations, social justice, and environmentalism. Agenda 21 calls for the abolition of private property and free...
This is communism. I mean, these are the planks of the Communist Manifesto we're basically hearing here.
enterprise in favor of communal ownership and central planning. In 1995, Bill Clinton created the President's Council on Sustainability. Gary Lawrence, a Seattle planner and advisor to the Clinton-Gore Council on Sustainable Development, explained the goal of the council. He said, in some cases, local Agenda 21 is seen as an attack on the power of the nation-state. So we will call our process something else, such as comprehensive planning, growth management, or smart growth. Those are the terms by which we know Agenda 21 today. For the next 13 years, the goals of Agenda 21 advanced slowly throughout the U.S., mainly in corporate policy decisions and on a local level through metropolitan planning. Cities worldwide and throughout the United States joined ICLEI, a UN-accredited non-governmental organization which encourages cities to develop smart growth. But progress was slow because Americans traditionally prefer single-family homes and cars to the densely packed urban housing and public transportation that smart growth demands. But then something happened. The housing market crash of 2007 and 2008 opened the door for the beginning of the radical restructuring of our society needed to achieve Agenda 21.
So in other words, that housing crash of 2008 was all by design. See, eventually they want to get everybody in stack and pack cities. Like, well, you think Hunger Games, of course, in Hunger Games, what I've seen of that show, it's like there's hardly anybody left, and yes, they've got their cities, it seems like, but they're in dilapidated. But no, this is more of a stack and pack, really pack you in like rats. You can't go outside the city perimeter. All of these corridors that you won't be able to go into huge swaths of the country wherever you're at. I mean, I've put the maps up many times of what they want to project America to be like, all of these no-go zones where they will not permit you to ever go, and then you'll be able to go from city to city through, if you have your travel permit, probably if you have enough money to do it, through these designated corridors. Then that's the only way you'll be, because what Satan is a control freak, and he wants to make sure he controls every single tiny little aspect of our lives and can create as much misery in our lives as possible.
President Obama, then candidate Obama, gave us a glimpse of this in 2008 in his campaign speech in Roseburg, Oregon.
We can drive our SUVs and, eat as much as we want and keep our homes on 72 degrees at all times, and whether we're living in a desert or we're living in the tundra, and then just expect that every other country's going to say, okay, you guys go ahead and keep on using 25% of the world's energy, even though you only account for 3% of the population, and we'll be fine. Don't worry about us.
So evidently, we have to appease every other country on the planet if you live in America, in order to be globally acceptable. And the thing is the globalists are the ones that have created this monstrosity, limiting us to fossil fuels and all of the different ways they control and manipulate us, particularly in America, when there's all types of other ways out there with free energy and cars that run off water and things of this nature that have all of that technology has been totally suppressed. So what you see a lot is total hypocrisy of politicians like this fork-tongued devil accusing humanity of doing all these things. It's no problem, though, for him to take a vacation and have it be, $10 million, $20 million for all the security and everything that goes along with him and Michael going on their little vacations. I'm sorry, Michelle. and doing all the things that they do and wasting all of the money they waste. That's fine. That's good. It's fine for the global elite to be able to do that, but don't you dare think you're going to have a single family home and run your AC on 72 and be this decadent slob that they're making out humanity to be. When in reality, they are the worst offenders on the planet that this world has ever known, and the most wasteful devils you could even possibly imagine. So the hypocrisy of these devils just knows no bounds. It defies speech.
Since 2008, our government has been actively implementing Agenda 21, not just on a local level, but on a national one. Now, in his second term, President Obama is using every resource at his disposal. Federal grants to entice cities to embrace sustainability, and federal agencies like HUD and the EPA to force Agenda 21 on all communities, whether they want it or not. The goals of Agenda 21 are not new. They're old-style Marxism repackaged, and they're marching across virtually every community in this country, almost completely unchecked. That's why it's so important to find out what's going on in your community. I will be posting a series of short video blogs to show you how Agenda 21 works and how it's infiltrating communities. Watch them, share them with your friends, find out about the UN companion initiatives that accompany Agenda 21, and then, when ICLEI comes to your town, you'll have the tools that you need to stand up with your fellow citizens and just say no.
And she's got, like, the next video is called Agenda 21 Bankrupting America into utopia, one city at a time. So, and that's quite a bit longer. That's like over an hour. So if you want to avail yourself to that, you can just access the PDF here for June 7th, 2015, and it's under the Understanding the Pure Evil of Agenda 21. And okay, so let's go further here. Let's listen to another little video here, and this is called Agenda 21 in the New World Order.
What's up, guys? I've heard about Agenda 21 for quite a while, but I've never really researched it. And I researched it today for the first time, and you're talking about sickening. I mean, this thing is sickening. And what Agenda 21 actually means is the New World Order's agenda for the 21st century. And this thing is all about how it's going to control the people, food, resources, money, you name it, everything. And going down here, this is their preamble, and it talks about how we are confronted with the disparity of within nations of poverty, hunger, ill health, everything. But you can't even imagine what's in here. I mean, this thing is so crazy. It's just so crazy. This right here is talking about how we're going to finance this New World Order agenda.
So he's actually reading from the text of the official Agenda 21 documents.
Down here, it talks about, I love this line right here, Agenda 21 is a dynamic program. It will be carried out by the various actors according to the different situations. So basically, they're going to hire actors, if you read this, to help push out the New World Order's agenda.
Looks like the family is there, and they're getting ready.
They're showing after the Newtown, Connecticut shooting, and they're showing the scene from, it looks like, I don't know, probably CNN, where the guy that was supposedly one of the parents of one of the kids that was shot, and it shows them, and he's laughing, he's coming up, he's laughing, and then he's laughing, and then he has to give his speech. They're literal paid actors, these people.
If you go in this chapter, all this chapter is about population control. Right here it says to promote an open, non-discriminatory, multilateral trading system that will enable all countries to improve their economic structures and improve the standard of living of their populations through sustained economic development. And when you read all this in roundabout terms, they're basically talking about population control. And basically right here, they're talking about a trading system to get going. And basically they're talking about the mark of the beast system, the New World Order, how to get the system running together. And this one's really interesting considering what's going on with Cyprus right now. This is talking about how when these banks get into debt, how basically they would put them under IMF rule and give them these bailout loans, but they would have to be debtors under this new World Order system. But this is talking about the heavy debt to the banks. Look what else is in here. They're talking about health care. set up an effective primary health care and maternal health care system accessible to all. What does that sound like?
Jen, thank you very much. Headline of the hour. This is the most important thing that has happened so far. The Supreme Court has upheld the individual mandate, essentially affirming that President Obama's health care law is indeed constitutional.
This is chapter 4, and it talks about how they will monitor and control how much food we will eat. This is chapter 6. This is another thing talking about population control with an expanding world population. And it basically goes over under Agenda 21, we must address these needs for the world's population. This is chapter 7. They're talking about the wealth. This is basically, when you read this all, basically they're talking about wealth distribution right here.
That means taking away whatever you have and supposedly giving it to the poor. None of it will reach the poor. They're gonna dole it out as they see fit, and they don't care. They want us to all die. That is their goal, to have us all die. So they're not going to redistribute anything for the benefit of anyone else. That's a lie. They'll either keep it or destroy it or whatever. I mean,
right here, protection of the atmosphere. They're talking about protecting the ozone layer and stuff like that. And
yeah, that's why they chemtrail us all day long, because they're so concerned about protecting the atmosphere. That's why they're raining down nanoparticles of aluminum and barium and ethylene dibromide and all of these things designed to kill us and cause cancer and to cause brain damage. That's why, because they care about us so much.
At the very beginning, and their preamble is their thing was how to raise finances to support this New World Order. Carbon tax remind you anything?
Absolutely. Carbon tax, which is what is part of this TPP agreement, and just bringing us under this big global taxation system to fund their massive beast New World Order.
This right here, this is chapter 10 right here. They're talking about controlling all land resources, and they're also talking about population control once again in all these little chapter. Look at this. Like I said, the New World Order, all they are is about control, and they even in chapter 13, they're talking about they want to control the mountains of all things. Chapter 14, they're talking about controlling food and resources again, and they also got population control in this one also. This is chapter 15. In this one, they're talking about controlling all the farmland. Pastures, savannas, rangelands, deserts, tundras, rivers, lakes, you name it, they want control of it. Now this one flipped me out. This one flipped me out. Biotechnology, chapter 16. I mean, they're talking about right here, straight in your face, they're talking about GMO seeds. This right here, for bringing about a specific man-made change in our DNA. Are you kidding me? Genetic materials in plants, animals.
Our DNA. Absolute manipulation of plants, animals, everything in their DNA. Humans. What's the primary way they're really doing that? Well, I think some of it's, who knows what they're doing with the chemtrails. Some of it obviously is food, eating GMO foods, things that they're putting in the foods, the water. Vaccinations, though, are the most direct way, because they can actually get straight into your bloodstream, into your tissues, bypassing all other natural protective routes in the body, manipulating our DNA. I've told you this before. They want to create a whole society of transhumanistic cyborgs, people that are not fully human anymore. Humanity 2.0 as the transhumanism movement. They want, and the whole carrot is going to be, oh, well, you'll be as gods. Well, where did I hear that before? In the Garden of Eden, when Satan offered that to Eve? Oh, you will be as gods, you know, if you eat of this tree. That's what they want to do to humanity. They want to create a society where people are not fully human. Well, Jesus didn't come back to save a society of half human, half whatever, with DNA, with Nephilim DNA or whatever kind of DNA they're putting into our bodies. That's why I said I would avoid the vaccines like, you know, like it was a life or death situation, because I have no idea what is actually, I mean, we've reported on all of the horrific things that we know of are in there and all of the different DNAs that they are doing. But, you know, the reality is you really don't even know the full extent of it. So, Satan defiling our DNA is a very near and dear thing. Jesus Christ said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. Well, you go back to Noah, Genesis 6, what was the big thing going on? Fallen angels procreating with women, bearing them a race of giants. And what was wrong with the giants? Their DNA was defiled. They weren't fully human. They could never be saved. They were pure evil. And that corrupted humanity so much that it got to the point where it said God had repented that he'd even made man. So much he had to wipe out the whole world. Why? Because the DNA, the bloodlines, had been defiled. So he took what animals were left and what few humans were left and put them on the ark, and those were, you know, they were not defiled, and he had to start over. So for Satan, this is something he's tried before. It's very near and dear to his black devil heart, and he's doing it again. He's just doing it in a more stealth-like manner.
Not messing with our DNA just to make life better, whatever, how, I don't know, but they're talking about changing just GMO seeds and DNA. This one right here, if you read this one is plumb crazy. This is chapter 18. They're talking about taking control of our fresh water right here. This is chapter 25. This one, if you read between the lines, basically it's teaching children to brainwash them to sit there and think, gee, do I really need a kid to put in this world? Is this kid going to take away from another kid? This right here, if you read between the lines, this is just straight up indoctrination. I mean, this is just some wild stuff. And this is one of the last ones. This is 28, talking about local authorities. Well, this is talking about getting the local authorities in on Agenda 21 to pretty much brainwash the communities that are around. Because if you get the communities, then it'll spread out to other communities. But this is actually just getting these communities brainwashed to this Agenda 21, and it is an agenda. But this is one sick document. I mean, I've heard about it for months and months, and I just never read it until today, and I was just flabbergasted when I read it. And just look at these 3 commercials that they put out last year alone. These people these are some sick people.
The earth just cannot handle the sheer number of humans who live here. Something has to give. And I believe that it's up to us who have lived a good life to make sure that our children will have the opportunity to live good lives too. I have lived a good life.
I have lived a good life.
I have lived a good life.
So now they need to die because they've lived their good life. They need to make way for their grandchildren. I mean, what kind of grandparent would you be if you didn't make way for your grandchildren? You need to elect to die. Reminds me of that info commercial thing of that thing I showed you the other day where that burial where they take everybody up to the top of this thing and their bodies decompose and then they use that to use it as fertilizer for all the plants in the city and stuff, so you could become a lemon tree someday. And it really reminds me of Soylent Green, where the guy who's older goes and basically volunteers to die, and has this little trinket they give him at the end of a little bit of air conditioning and pleasure as he lays on this bed and views this panoramic scene. And by the end of the song, by the end of the little tiny movie that he watches, he's dead, and now he's turned into food. This is real. This is an actual commercial from them.
I have lived a good life.
Agenda 21 coming soon. Agenda 21, UN Division for Sustainable Development, coming soon. Well, what's coming soon? I have lived a good life. It's time for me to die. I mean, how much more clear, without them coming right out and saying it, could it be? We've heard of death panels, like, in Obamacare and things of this nature. Well, they're right in your face with this stuff. This is Satan's blueprint for humanity.
Every year.
Here's another commercial. I mean, this is so mind-blowing, these commercials. I just don't even know where to begin.
Millions of imperfect babies are born.
Imperfect babies are born.
Destined for a life of struggle and hardship. But it is the rest of us who pay the ultimate cost.
The British accent is what sells me. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, anything she says, I'm going to go along with.
Billions of dollars that could be used to better society are instead wasted on the malformed.
Wasted on the malformed babies. Wasted on the malformed babies. So, no, well, what's the... So, well, kill them, obviously. They're little devils, evidently, and they need to die, according to the, you know, this Agenda 21, United Nations merciful agenda.
There must be a better way, and there is.
It's called the guillotine.
Agenda 21 is coming soon.
Are you believing this? Agenda 21 is coming soon. So great, we're going to be able to kill our babies, and I'm sure that's going to be after birth, because hey, well, we weren't able to pick up all these fetal abnormalities in the womb. So once you have the baby, you can elect to kill your baby up to the age of 3. They've actually proposed that, up to the age of 3. So if Junior's, he's in his terrible 2s and he's giving you a little too much flack, you know, well, Junior, I have a solution for this problem, and it's a permanent one. You know, take him to the little Agenda 21 and say, you know, he's an incorrigible child, and I'm exercising my right as his parent to elect to terminate said human, and they'll probably pay you off to do it. I'm sure they'll credit you some carbon credits, I'm sure, because Junior won't be leaving a carbon footprint anymore, you know, because they'll use him to grow a lemon tree. And, you know, hey, everybody will walk away happy, except for Junior, of course, and he's dead. So, you know, that's the bold new, brave new world we're moving into.
For millions of years, this lake thrived. But now it is dying.
Uh-oh.
Poisoned by humans who put themselves above nature.
Nature.
It's time to stop the killing. It's time to heal our planet.
Oh.
It's time to remove your footprint.
Remove your footprint.
Agenda 21 is coming soon.
And at the end of the video, I kid you not, you're seeing 2 feet on this dry lake bed with plastic bottles, and it has the 2 feet. It's time to remove your footprint. What does that mean? That means you die. Okay? Every one of these commercials has said you die. Old dies to the babies and everything in between. Okay? In this one, it's a normal person, and all you see is their feet standing on the bottom of the lake bed, and it has one of those circles with a slash mark through it, like, you know, this is gone. This is terminated over their feet, because it's time to eliminate your footprint. That means you die. This is how in our face that this stuff is. This is what they're trying to implement right now. This is what this TPP is all about. Especially, we can't even view the verbiage. Because if the verbiage was able to be viewed, and if it came out, there would, as much as the sheeple people are asleep, there would still be tons of public outcry. So they can't let that happen. They've got to hide it from us. I mean, these commercials are so over the top. I can't even comprehend what we're seeing, how in our face this is actually getting here. So we have that video, which was, I know, a little kind of uplifting little walk down Satan Lane. And now we have Red Alert, Agenda 21. Inspectors are going door to door wanting to look in your homes. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to this one.
What's up, guys? Grindle61 put this out yesterday, man. This is one important video. If you want to get into Agenda 21, this guy knocks it out the park. But, man, I'm going to re-upload this video just to make this go viral or get it out there more, man, you ought to see this information. Agenda 21 is nothing but total control of everything. It is not a conspiracy theory. I've done the video on their actual document, Agenda 21. I'll put the link in the box for that. It is their actual documents from the United Nations of what they want to do. But look at this video. This is appalling, and this is going on right now. Agenda 21, total control of taxes and how we live, every single thing.
This is all part of the Climate Action Plan to increase frequencies. Increased frequencies in the Climate Action Plan come under the deployment of smart meters. Smart meters are the collection device on the exterior of your homes in most instances, although some of these meters are in the interior of homes. There is a data collection of all of the required energy-efficient, Energy Star appliances.
While it's also frying you in your brain with all of the high-frequency microwave signals that the smart meter itself is putting out, creating and decimating your own health to who knows what degree. And so, yeah, not only is it a absolute spying device, spying on every single thing going on in your house, but it's also killing you at the same time. So, mission accomplished for Satan there.
That through these climate action plans, or the plans to reduce your CO2 emissions, you are required to implement. Now you say, I live in America. They can't require me to change anything in my homes. Yes. Once your city has adopted these plans, and likely they already have, or they're in the process.
And they're moving toward that heavily in California.
You are soon going to be required under new code enforcement requirements on every structure in the country. Every single building that was previously designed, permitted, and now built will be non-compliant.
Can you imagine if they were to really try to implement this on a mass scale across? I mean, you would have people absolutely having to leave their homes just from that standpoint alone, because you couldn't afford to retrofit your whole house with all of these smart appliances and all of the whatever upgrades, which would really be downgrades that you would have to do to turn your home into like this spy box Frankenstein structure that you would be living in. And understand that's part of the agenda, because they know there's going to be a high percentage, especially in this particular economy that we're living in, where people will not be able to do that, and they'll have to basically forfeit their houses and move into the stack and packs housing in the inner city, where they can be controlled and where they'll all be exposed to the maximum amount of smart meter radiation and Wi-Fi and all of the frequencies alone are just enough to cause brain tumors and cancer and all types of things. So this is the motivation behind this.
You need to think about this. Non-compliant, total non-compliance of all structures. Now I can say many homes are not going to be compliant, and many homes are going to be fined and penalized when code enforcement comes out to enforce these adopted requirements to reduce your CO2 emissions. Again, all based on scientific fraud.
Hello, inspectors. I'm G. This is
Again, all based on scientific fraud. So all this stuff about, your carbon footprint and all this other garbage, even though they've done a ton to create that problem, the global elite, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, whenever they say that there's a problem and there's something afoot, I don't believe them, because they're the ones fudging the numbers. Okay, they're the ones browbeating us when they're the very ones that are causing it. Now we're actually seeing one of these Agenda 21 inspectors at a home, I believe this is in California, trying to get inside this guy's house.
This is Inspector Noe. We're just doing a...
Now this is December 23rd, 2014. So this happened over 6 months ago.
routine inspection going around. In your room, any problems like leaking, damage, mice, rats, or how are you doing?
Why do you gotta inspect the inside of the house?
To see.
He's talking to this guy through, it looks like a metal looks like a really heavy metal. This guy's probably big on privacy, and it's a pretty heavy. It's not like a regular screen door. It's like a metal mesh that he's talking to him through, and this guy's trying to get into his house.
If you have violation of health and safety codes of California and Los Angeles County, then we help you.
Oh, they're gonna help you if you have any violations. Guaranteed, they're coming in there to spy on you, and they're gonna find umpteen quote violations. You're gonna be fined. You're probably gonna be kicked out of there. They're gonna report back to the government anything they see in there, and then that would give them further reason to then send in probably the SWAT team if they saw something they didn't like or they wanted to get for their own like storable food or whatever. So understand, anybody trying to get in your house, that is what the agenda is.
Working for an evil government. How dare you go house to house trying to tell everyone what to do with your code enforcement? Get out of here.
I love that guy.
What they're doing is coming in and, trying to check out who's hoarding food.
Here's another guy they filmed. This was on 5/29. This was just the other day. It showed one of these inspectors, I'm assuming in California, and it's a picture of him with a clipboard in a front yard.
Who's got guns and stuff like that. And I think in Texas, a couple people reported that these guys showed up associated with Reliant Energy, which is one of the electric companies there, saying that they were here to do a home inspection to see if they were wasting energy. And all dressed in these cute little, uniforms that could show no ID. But that's what they're saying is that's probably the way they're coming in to look at your house to see if you're a, quote, food hoarder, unquote.
Now, I've also heard that this Reliant Energy is actually what they're doing is they're going to the people on the red list, okay, the ones targeted for termination, and they're trying to get into their houses in particular because they want to know what kind of stockpiles, what kind of food, what excuses they might have to even go in there, and what they're going to be up against. So understand that. It's getting to this point now where we're actually at this point where they're trying to get in your house. They're assessing the enemy. They're letting ISIS in through the southern border now. We're going to talk about that today. Openly letting them come right in. We've got Chinese and Russian troops here. We've got all of this stuff going on with Jade Helm. Our own military is doing all of this stuff, staging, placing military equipment. You got the stuff that's going on with Walmart. All of these different things are going on right now to literally wage war against the people, the middle class of America in particularly is who they really want to go against. Anybody that would be pro-Second Amendment, pro-life, pro-Christian, veterans, returning veterans, and these types of people. Anybody that would stand for righteousness in any way, shape, or form. Anybody that would be deemed on the red list. That is who they want to make sure that they take out first. But just remember, the Lord Jesus Christ is on the throne with Father God, and nothing gets by him. He knows all of this. So he is the one you need to appeal to in order to get divine protection. Pray Psalm 64, if you don't know what that means, or pray the Psalms that have to do with God protecting you, because I think there is a scriptural premise for that. Go in and key in Psalm at contendingfortruth.com. Excuse me. Sorry, get pretty passionate there. Key in Psalm at contendingfortruth.com, and you'll see Psalm 64, imprecatory prayer, a Christian's door of hope. Okay? And what you're basically asking God to do is to hide you from the secret counsel of the wicked. Pray that you be accounted worthy to escape all the things that are coming upon this earth and to stand before the Son of Man. Pray that you will always be, that you will endure to the end, that you will be more than an overcomer. And these types of things. These are all biblical prayers. Remember to put on the full armor of God. Pray for the angels to encamp around about you, your house, your property, your loved ones, wherever you set foot, that God's angels will go before you to prepare the way. Plead the blood of Jesus Christ over your family, over your property, and pray that, God does hide you from the secret counsel of the wicked, and the Psalm 64 gets into that. But, this stuff is like at our doorstep here. For a lot of people, they've already experienced this right now. And so it's getting very real, very quick. Between now and, I believe, the start of October, from every indicator that I've seen, the New World Order, Satan has some really, really draconian things in store for us if he is able to pull it off. Now, I know God has pushed back the timetable, I believe, countless numbers of times. Okay, so I'm not saying for sure that this is all going to go down between now and the start of October. So September seems to be the month where I've just seen everything pointing to, like from mid-September to the end of, you know, the early part of October. But I'm not saying that is 100%. I'm not a date setter. I don't do that kind of stuff. Okay, but I'm just saying there is a lot of indicators pointing in that direction. So here it says, here is the business card of the man who knocked on my door right before Christmas. I was informed that it's his duty to go inside and make a report of everything he sees in the house. Oh, yeah? Where's your warrant? I want to see a police warrant. You just don't let somebody inside your house just because they say they've got some supposed badge or whatever. So this is, we're going to see this here. Okay, here's the business card. And it says, Ki Win Haling. Sounds like somebody from China, which if they were a Chinese troop, okay. We know there's Chinese troops that have been here, have staged. I mean, China owns America essentially at this point. We're going to talk about that more today. Well, if we are China's possession, how they're viewing it at this point, well, don't you think they would want to pre-position people inside to, when the takeover happens, when the dollar collapses, that they would have people inside that were already pre-positioned ahead of time? Well, this looks like one of them. It says that County of Los Angeles Public Health, his business card, environmental health specialist, Bureau of District Surveillance and Enforcement. Oh boy, environmental health. Gives his telephone number, his office fax number, his email address, the whole 9 yards. So this guy is pure evil here. Anybody that would come to you under that banner, we're dealing with some pure evil. And then it says, don't ever let these people in your house. They cannot come in without a warrant. Nothing good will ever come if you let them take one step in your house. It will all go downhill right away. Film any encounter you have with these people. That's another thing that's important to do. I'm running a camera in my car now when I drive. I'm trying to wear the body cam that I don't always remember, but it's in my car now, and I'm trying to wear it when I go out. You know, whether I have some encounter with some demonic entity or whether I have an encounter or whatever, I want to have it on film. And so I think that's a good thing to do as well. And I think that is the end of the video here. And I'm just about out of time for this part. Okay, I'm going to cover one more really quick topic here. This was sent to me by a listener, longtime listener named Michelle, and they've had to leave their house on one or two occasions. I know on one occasion specifically because of the smart meter that was installed on their house. She started having horrific headaches, all kind of health problems. I mean, I had her go out and buy one of those shrouds that you can put over the bed so it would protect her at night, and that made a gigantic difference. It's an RF shroud. I mean, they're like $1,000. I mean, they're really expensive. You know, no inconvenience there, no monetary inconvenience. And so they're touring another house where they're trying to find some other place to live here, and she goes and she finds this Whirlpool electric water heater, and it says for smart grid or home automation use only. It says it right on the top. I mean, there's actually pictures that they took. Refer to the smart grid technology section of the use and care guide for more information. It has a picture of it here. And it says, you know, we've been looking for another house. So as we walked through the house the other day, look at what I found. I got pictures of. We did not take the house because there was so much wrong, but I got the opportunity to scope this out. I did not realize till I looked it up online that the cords on top of the unit is the plug and play cords talked about below. There's some kind of plug and play thing with this where, I mean, these are like computers that are all linked into the smart grid, monitoring every single thing you do. And again, in the future, if you get out of line with your appliance use, they're either going to shut you down or fine you or whatever. Maybe it'll be 30 days in the electric chair. I don't know. But this is what they're talking about doing. It says, I looked it up online when we got home, and this is what I found. 50-gallon Energy Smart electric water heater. And it says choice of operating mode, standard, And then the energy smart mode, which intelligently reacts to hot water use patterns to reduce standby heat loss. Oh, it sounds also nice and whatever. It's all a draconian agenda to totally control us and to strip us of our rights more and more and more. And then the last thing it says is it's smart port equipped, meaning energy smart is a smart grid ready for future utility management, as well as a plug and play ready for home automation applications. Every aspect of your house, your electronic usage, they want to be able to control and monitor. I mean, it's the ultimate Big Brother Orwellian control system you can imagine. So I'm totally out of time. I got to end part 1 here, and we will go to part 2 next. God bless you.
Scott Johnson's 1,000 plus audio teachings and PDF documents are available for free 24/7 on the internet at contendingfortruth.com. That's CONTENDINGFORTRUTH.com. In addition, we also offer a free Christian current event and health email newsletter. You can sign up at contendingfortruth.com. These email newsletters typically only generate about 3 to 6 emails per month if you subscribe to both lists. Please prayerfully help us to continue this work. For mail correspondence or to support this ministry, our mailing address is Scott Johnson, 2359 Highway 70 Southeast, number 321, Hickory, NC 28602. Or on the internet, a PayPal donation link can be found at contendingfortruth.com. Thank you, and may the Lord Jesus Christ richly bless you.